Welcome to my 21-day Communications for Brands course here on YouTube only. I am Serena. This is Serena's Playbook. I have more than 20 years in comms and media. I'm a chartered public relations practitioner and I'm currently studying my postgrad in systems thinking. I'm in my last bit, the research bit, the dissertation bit. And I like to share some nuggets that I find and explore that I know would be relevant here for leveling up your strategic thinking. And it's a new year. I thought let's do a 21-day course directly on YouTube. So let's go. Whether your brand is a personal one, a professional one, let's talk about your North Star, your core values. I talk about this in my 7 strategic zones. One of them is all about your North Star, and I have playlists dedicated to each one of my 7 strategic zones. Most brands, their communication will fail at the very first question when they are asked about, who they are, what their core values are. Uh, and this is the thing that you are wanting to be known for. It's not what you sell, it's not what you list as a product, it's not what you list as a course, it's what you want to be known for. And so your North Star, the thing that you want to be known for, is your guiding principle, especially when there is so much noise. Give me a thumbs up, a like if you know what I'm talking about. We are surrounded with noise. So you've got your North Star, your guiding principle. You have your mission statements, the kinds of statements that are required for you to publish, maybe put it in reports for various boards or pitches or your website if you're still using a website. And then there's the messaging itself. But the thing that holds it all together is your North Star. It's your core values, your guiding principle. The messages that you use, your messaging throughout campaigns will change. Your campaigns will evolve because certain objectives, goals, aims will uh, iterate. Maybe you have different projects going on, different products. Maybe you have different clients. So those are sort of movable things. Those are all movable things. Let me give you an example. The kind of content I put out, whether it's here on Serena's Playbook, on my media, politics, commentary channel, or my personal sort of insightful review channel, which is being relaunched just, here in the new year. So regardless of the style of content, the theme, the delivery, what I want to be known for is a thinker, somebody who is willing to do the reflective work, the critical thinking, the analysis, the synthesis, and bring it over here to the airwaves. And so, therefore, the offerings, the products, the outputs may change, but the guiding thing is, want people to rely on me for being a thinker, somebody who's done the work behind the scenes offline. And so, what you want to do is ask yourself a question. What do you stand for when nobody is watching? I often do this with myself when I'm studying, burning the midnight oil, as they say, and I'm reading papers, academic papers, or trying to write my notes in my various notebooks. Goodness me, there's so many notebooks or post-its in books. Um, I reassure myself that, okay, I'm building on something. This is what I'm doing when no one is watching. I'm putting in the hours, I'm putting in the work. And I find it a bit of a struggle sometimes because I'm a creative and I want to do other things as well. And I'm restless and I can't just sit at a book or at papers all the time and stare at a screen. But I'll put the hours in, I'll use various techniques, and I am therefore confident in the in the sort of belief that, okay, I'm putting the work in, no one's watching, and this is my sort of core principle. Okay, this is what I am committed to, this is what I'm dedicated to doing, and this is what I stand for when no one is watching. Some people may have a soap brand, and they are what they absolutely stand for, what they're committed to is ensuring the purity and the organic nature of ingredients, and combining those like a chemist, and to experiment and trial and error until they have the right concoction and the right potency and all these different variables. And that's what they stand for. They're happy to do the work behind the scenes before it all gets packaged and ready for sale. So these are the kinds of things that you should ask yourself, and please feel free to pause at any time and take notes. That's the whole point of these videos for this course, and for you to perhaps pause when I ask a prompt. So if you were to sort of walk away from the money side of things, or uh, the financial reward of it all, what are the principles that you leave with, removing from the sort of transactional nature of what it is you're doing and what your brand does? And these are sort of like the helpful questions that we can ask ourselves. I know that for me, if the channels are no longer there, if I'm no longer creating content, I am confident that I'm walking away with my expertise, my development. And, I talk about this in the YouTube playlist as well, about not sort of trend jacking too much, and allowing yourself to develop as a creator, as an expertise, sharing digital content, and just knowing that, regardless of how many views and how much engagement that you get, you are cultivating an expertise, a way of delivery. So, what do you get to walk away with should your sort of financial, monetary tentacles all sort of collapse? The issue that sometimes happens with personal brands is there's this temptation to be everything, and I've felt that as well when I've been creating content, multiple ways, and wanting to do more than one thing. So I understand the temptation, the tendency, and that it takes a bit of discipline, and you've got to sometimes trim the fat a lot, and allow some things to be more offline than online. So there's a temptation to want to bring it all in and offer it all. Um, but then what that can do again is like it makes it a little bit confusing for your audience to define, well, what are they about? What do they stand for? And that's what your North Star is. You want it to be very clear that, this person or this brand, that's what they're about. It's like North Face, the brand, the outerwear, outer leisure, extreme sports, warmth, um, and also the kind of sort of technology that they use when they are manufacturing goods for, extremely cold environments, and to essentially keep you really warm, to be practical. And also, I mean, there are brands that also have that sort of attractive aesthetic. And I haven't purchased anything from them in maybe more than a decade, yet it's clear to me what they're about. So your North Star can also create a bit of a constraint where, okay, because this is my guiding principle, because this is what I'm about, I'm not going to do anything else. And then that constraint can then sort of create clarity, especially, in terms of what you're offering and what you're doing. So What's great then is your North Star, your guiding principle, can also function as a filter. It's about what you say yes to, it's about your crisis response, and it's about what you refuse to do. So, the filter for opportunities first, let's look at that. What you choose to say yes to. These are collaborations, these are sponsorships, any sort of speaking gigs. And the question that you've got to ask yourself, is this aligned with me? Is it profitable? Um, is it going to be visibly beneficial? So for my brand, because there's a visibility sort of element, and will it align? So, if you are a perfumery business and you decided to go down the route of fast fashion, it may not align. As an artisan, you wouldn't really uh, have sort of a easy sort of matched energy, matched sort of approach to products and production. um if with a fast fashion brand, it just wouldn't. I'm struggling to get the words because I just know it just wouldn't work. So you've got to ask your questions. Am I aligned at all? And when you ask yourself this question, then you get better sort of practice at filtering these sort of opportunities that come your way through your North Star, because then you know what you're about. Oh, I'm an artisan, or I am a political journalist or commentator, and I'm all about this area of law or economics and how that impacts this group of citizens, and that might appeal more to socialists. And there's a slightly more right wing or conservative publication that's looking for freelance. Like, it doesn't match. So let's go to your crisis response. Secondly, um you and I talk about this in, I've got to remind myself, I've got all my 7 zones. In zone 4 of your, zone 3, your risk readiness and reputation design. And this is your crisis response. Um, and your North Star, your guiding principle, this will determine how you respond in a crisis. And, you don't want to be scrambling around. You want to be very familiar with yourself. For instance, again, I'm going to use myself as an example. If my sort of North Star is about being a critical thinker, strategic thinker, reflective, um, giving a scrambled, reactive response in a crisis is the opposite of what I need to be doing. Um, I would need to be very thoughtful and considered, especially in the wording, in how I want to sort of communicate in a crisis. You might be a design brand or an art brand, in the sense that it's all about the visuals, and then the crisis, and you're putting reams and reams and reams of wording out there, and people just aren't used to it. It's like, it just doesn't match up. It might make more sense for you to put out an audio statement, with some visuals, or go very analog. And if you're a gallery, you put up something in the window and just take a photo of that, and that will go on your socials. um, of course, when there's a crisis, your audience will demand some kind of clarification, and they'd want to sort of know where you're at and what they can expect. Just reflect on what are your usual engagement methods and your engagement style, and just ensure that whatever you choose to do in a crisis, it doesn't betray your North Star, your guiding principle. Thirdly, this sort of filter, this North Star filter, should also help you to refuse and have boundaries in place. We all need boundaries, even in business, in brands. And this has got to be a practice, this willingness for you to say no. uh, if you're being offered a speaker gig and the audience is perfect, but the lineup is not. The lineup is actually one that you're not keen on. You find them questionable, but somehow, somewhere you got some advice on, oh, speak everywhere, you can't be fussy about these things. Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Do you want your photo to be on that flyer? Your name to be on that flyer with other speakers that you just don't respect, that you don't like. So you've got to be able to say no, no to these kinds of opportunities, to any trends that are taking place, because you don't want to do that thing which is trend jacking just because you'll get clicks. Um, and these kinds of motivations can actually violate your North Star. It's a violation of your North Star. I'm thinking about slang right now. Violation. So use a filter to know when to refuse, and then also respond in a crisis, and when to say yes and how to say yes. So when you are looking at your North Star, I want you to be really honest and scribble down words, scribble down descriptions in a very honest way. Don't be aspirational and ideal about it. What are you actually about? What do you actually prioritize? And then test it. Ask yourself, have I turned down money because of this, or, accepted money because of this? Have I lost followers or clients for this reason, for this principle, for this value? Um, and if I was to go against this principle, this core value of mine, would I lose any followers or lose any fans or lose any support, um, for that reason? And you can then sort of determine the description almost for what you're about by doing this. And and it's really helpful. It's really helpful for you to do this sort of mental exercise, so that you get your thinking cap on. You're not relying on an LLM to do it for you. So, you could complete some sentences, and here are some prompts. You can answer, my brand exists to fill in the blank. Uh, you don't want to say, oh, because I want to provide or I want to help people. You don't want to be vague. Just be very descriptive. And if you need to look up synonyms, that's fine. You can use Google for that. Be so specific that somebody could understand it, like anyone from any background could understand it. Like, try it that way, right? In super plain language. And do a few examples of this. My brand exists to, and just fill in the glamp and the gaps, and let me know in the comments as well. When you begin to nail this, and it is a process, it's a creative process, but when you do begin to nail this, your decisions will get easier, uh, and you won't chase any sort of trends or opportunities that are misaligned with you. You'll be able to build trust with your audience. You'll be able to speak confidently and in a consistent way. But when you skip this is when, unfortunately, when you can get reactive, you can become inconsistent. And then you won't have a crisis framework, especially a responsive one, not a reactive one. We want a responsive one. And when you've done this sort of mental work, this process, which is so crucial for us as brand owners, brand builders, and creatives, especially in the digital content space, when you've done this work, you are far less likely to get caught up in something that could be quite reputationally damaging. So I really would love to hear from you. Give me your sort of thoughts, your ideas. If you want any help in the comments, just put in your long questions or comments, and we can go back and forth. And I'd be really happy to do that. So I hope you've enjoyed day one of this communications for your brand course via YouTube. And this was all about your brand's North Star. And I really hope you get a lot of value from these sort of 21 days. And if you wanted to tell me a little bit more, you can also join my Discord. Just search for Serena's Playbook on Discord. There are other ways that you can connect with me, lots of links provided in the description, but do jump in the comments, do come across Discord as well, and tune in for the next one. I'll see you soon.